Hi, everybody. Tom Woodill from Abbey Realty here. We're here at the Hearts Museum today to do another I Heart Huntsville interview. We have Tara Burnett, the executive director of the Hearts Museum, and Don Martinez, who is the owner of Martinez and Associates design firm in Huntsville. And they're going to tell us about some big news. A lot of folks have heard this big news, but we're going to let Tara and Don tell us all about what's going on at the Hearts Museum, because this is big stuff, guys.
Well, we are excited to announce that David Addix is donating his complete collection of 43 presidential busts, George Washington through Obama, to the museum. He will be here on Monday, and he'll be here at 11 o'clock. We'll do a groundbreaking for our presidential bust project. At 11:30, we'll do question and answer here in the museum, light refreshments, but we're encouraging everyone to come out to be a part of the project.
Right. Mm-hmm. And it's Monday starting at 11 o'clock here at the Hearts Museum.
Yes, sir.
And it's free and open to the public.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, Don, this has kind of, I think, happened fairly quickly, but tell me what's going on as far as the planning of the President's Park.
Well, I made the mistake of answering the phone when Tara called, and she had a special concept that she wanted to talk to me about, and because of my role with the museum and the history of my parents with the museum,
right.
Also with Jerry Nemick, who was a founding member of the museum, they felt to include me. So we sat down and went through some concepts of what the artist had come up with, and we look at it from the industrial side about actually making it work. We take the artist concept and try to convert it over. So we came up with something that was a little bit more unique, and we tried something in a circular fashion, right, to kind of consolidate and use less space and conserve some of the land that was originally deeded over. So we've come up with basically a concept where you can go inside and enter and walk around through the outside perimeter and view all of these. And there's a timeline that goes through the presidents as well as the timeline of wars, and ties everything into the presidents, the Veterans Museum, and
right,
kind of puts everything together. And we surprised Mr. Addix with a presentation to him and showed him what it was going to look like. It was completely different than his concept, and we all were kind of waiting to see if
right,
he would either tear it apart or what his reaction was. And he was very, very impressed that we had put so much time. And he says, obviously you have put a lot more time and thought
right,
than I ever did into it. So he gave us the blessing. So now we have moved from the concept now to actually working out the plans. And the geotech company was here yesterday, taking a look at the land and what values that the land is going to have for us. And we've hired surveyors with Fuller and Associates to come out. They are doing the topography, and so we're trying to work into some working drawings now that we can go through. We already have a budget that we went over this last week, and now we're trying to refine the design into an actual working concept so that
right,
we can get contractors involved, and we've got phases that we want to proceed after that. So that's where we're at right now. So we're at the infancy stage, but at the same time, we have to move the heads immediately because the heads are on a piece of property that will be purchased and through, I think, eminent domain, and they will have to be moved. So in the next 30, I'd say 60 days, he probably will start seeing some of those things come up here.
Okay. And they're right now down in Houston, is that true?
Yes.
Right. And Tara, you guys have the land? Is that right outside the back of the Hearts Museum? Is that?
Yes, sir. It's directly behind the museum. And the park is projected to take approximately an acre and a half to put the park in. Right.
I guess you do need some help, though, and I understand that you've started a fundraising campaign. Can you tell us about that a little bit?
Yes, sir. We started an initial campaign. Sandra Hanscom was involved in that with Kenneth Lee, who's the president of our board.
Right.
And they reached out to several people that were very interested in the project, and they've started the fundraising. It's being held, the money is being held aside from our normal operating expenses at the museum, and it's specifically for that project.
Right.
So right now we're reaching out to corporations and larger money donors. While every dollar counts, we really need that corporate money to come on board.
Right. Do you have a approximation as far as how much money you'll need to get the project done?
We have some basic. I would say some basic. We've taken a look at if we used a general contractor and if we paid full rate,
right?
Rather than looking at the best case scenario, we look at what standard
reduced rate.
Right. We're making assumptions right now that we're going to pay full price.
Right.
So with certain contacts that both Tara has and myself and community leaders,
right.
We're going to go through, and Rob McCafferty today called me, and we're supposed to sit down and go through some numbers and take a look and see what we can do. Alton Maxey also called me today, and these guys are ready to make it happen. And they have been, I've worked with Rob for 35 years at different projects, and we've worked on everything from the boys baseball deal over here years ago. It's the same group of guys that have always kind of jumped on board, and I feel lucky that Mr. Irwin and Mr. Nash and some of the old town leaders that were here before took me underneath their wing, and they were basically looking at showing me the ropes, and I'm trying to carry on that same thing, to kind of make Huntsville a greater place.
Right. Well, last thing, we have the Big Sam out on the highway. How awesome would it be for you guys to show up here at the Hearts Museum and look out and have the President's Park or have big events out there? I mean, I imagine that's crossed your mind recently, and probably, is a driving thing for why you do the hard work. But how what's that going to be like when it's finally done? When it's done?
Well, when the project is complete, the ability to hold events inside of the project will be amazing.
Yeah.
That was part of the process that Don looked at, was all of the heads facing to the center flagpole area to show unity in our nation and unity in our history. So to be able to have an event right there around that flagpole area, it'll be an awesome place just to bring everybody together and to enforce that unity in our nation that we so desperately need right now.
Yeah.
So we talked about music events, we talked about graduations and picnics and things of that nature. So it'll be really, really exciting for Huntsville and for the state of Texas, frankly, actually the entire nation, because this will be the only one of its type in existence. So we're excited to have it, and what better place for David to bring it home, with him being a Huntsville native, with us having Big Sam, with the Addicts Foundation being here, and the Addicts addition to the Oakwood Cemetery, and all of his artwork throughout Walker County. We just thought it made sense to bring this home as well.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It really is. The thing that it kind of goes back to Mr. Irwin. Whenever I was still in college, I worked underneath Mr. Irwin. He was a professional engineer, an MEP, and the statue originally, whenever it first came in, there was some budgetary issues that came in about. And one of my first little projects working underneath Mr. Irwin was to estimate concrete and steel for the statue that's out there. So whenever I finally got a chance to meet Mr. Addicts, that was one of the first things I told him. I said, "You're familiar with my work, I'm familiar with your work, but we've never actually met." So that's been it's a really neat thing to work with the artist that came up with that. And that statue, I remember the day that I was working on it, and I remember the day that we met out here and met Mr. Addicts. I'm an artist myself, and I appreciate what he does. And the community, I think, really is going to gain so much from this. Just like she was talking about the music events. It'll be a place where our congressman can come. There's several thousand people that can fit inside this 250-foot diameter ring. So it's going to be a great place, and it will humble you whenever you walk inside and you see all of these people over the 244 years that America has been here. It's going to humble anybody that walks inside there.
Well, it's going to be special, and this is so exciting for our community, and we appreciate all the hard work that y'all are doing, and we'll be here Monday to help y'all break ground, and thank you for your time today. Daiquiri BB's behind the camera. We'll be back next week for another I Heart Huntsville. Thank you.